you getting yourself ready for our show?
Alrighty, guys, Bobby Roast Beef here, another Tuesday for you. We've got Jigs and Bigs. This week is a good one. Something amazing has happened. Something really remarkable has happened, at least for me. And we'll cover exactly what that is. Guys, it's hard water everywhere. It is colder than a witch's tit out there. And the ice, I mean, we're talking 7 to 9 inches being reported all over the place. If you're not getting out on the ice, you're absolutely missing out. It's good times. And we've got some tips, some stuff that I learned about how to make the most of it when you're out there. We'll talk about that. Of course, we got a weekend review from me. Sean the Fisherman has a weekend review as well. We were on the Hoodlum cast, guys. We recorded a segment with some of our homies from Hooks at Hoodlums, and we got some stuff to talk about. Actually, some details about the live show that you're going to want to watch that too, but we're probably going to cover all that stuff in here for you as well. Of course, guys, we have some Just the Tip stuff for you. We're going to talk ice fishing. This is definitely going to apply to you if you're north of a certain point of the country, and we're going to have a whole lot of fun. Plus, we have an interesting FTG for you. This one gets into it. Gets kind of gory. We have some fun with it. And then, of course, we're in the throes of the Chronic Trips tournament right now. And we've got, basically, it's like a three-way race to the top. And we'll go ahead and we'll get to it, guys. All kinds of good stuff for you. I mean, trust me, guys. Go ahead, get something warm, because like I said, it is cold out there. Bundle up. We have an awesome show for you guys this week on Jigs and Bigs. We're going to be right back with more show right after this, guys. Don't go too far. It's a good one. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on when you're listening, guys. Bobby Roast Beef here. I got Sean the Fisherman with me. It's another beautiful week. Sean, how are you, my friend? How are things?
I'm great. Things are great. We got on the ice today. We got some fish. We ate food.
We ate a lot of food. We drank some wine. I drank some wine.
You drank some wine.
I drank some wine.
You drank some wine.
Yep.
Why don't we just, dude, like, I'm so pumped from today. Why don't we just jump right into what happened today? What occurred on the magnificent 23rd of January in the year of our Lord 2022?
So today, it's been at least 25 years since I have been on the ice doing some ice fishing. It's been at least that long. I mean, the last time I was a teenager, I mean, holy cow, it's been a while. And just to put that in reference, like the last time I was ice fishing, Derek Artioli from Three Bells Outfitters was not born. Think about that. The last time I ice fished was one Derek. That's insane.
Better yet, the last time you ice fished, Kurt Cobain was still alive.
That's true. Kurt Cobain was still alive.
Derek Artioli was not born.
Biggie was still alive. Tupac was still alive. I mean, wow. I'm old. Crap. We're old. Anyway, so if you guys can't deduce what we're talking about here, we got on the ice today. Your boy was up nice and early. He put on a good solid base layer. He layered up well. He put on his crampons on his nice, and that's one of the things you're going to hear in the Just the Tip, man. We're going to go ahead and go over some of the gear and everything, and a lot has changed. I've never used crampons on the ice before. A lot of slipping and sliding last time I was there, and I think that might have been part of my distaste for it. But this was they helped out. So yeah, met up in my own my old stomping ground, and we had a little party on one of the local lakes out there. And when I say party, I'm not talking about a bunch of people standing around, a handful of holes, or standing around and just kind of waiting for flags to go off and go running and BSing. No. Like, this was like a legit, like what did we say last week? A hootenanny? Yeah,
Was a hoot,
I mean, it was like legitimate. It was so much fun, and it was great. I did. I sort of met back and reunited with that anxiety of when you hear those stress cracks, which is that's a feeling that I thought I had forgotten about, but apparently came right back to me like that. I was like riding a bike. I was like, oh shit, forgot about
these
this.
suck.
These suck, and you really do. Like the ice talks to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it really does. It's crazy. Whole lot of fun. It was cold, but I came home and was nice and happy. And it was really, really awesome. I mean, I spent most of my day jigging. Yep. So I don't think I really kept a whole lot of tally on what was caught as far as the tip-ups that we had thrown out there. But I mean, I know there were a couple of pickerel, and I hear one? And was there some perch or anything else, nope. Or was it just the pickerel on ours?
Just that small pickerel that my youngest son caught, and he reeled it in. Obviously, we were throwing those minnows out there, but there was a lot of sly minnow thieving going on by the fish under the ice. But all in all, I mean, we saw at least 10, if not 10 to a dozen fish being caught, and then I had gotten there late. A little later than we wanted. Derek Artioli had crashed from Derek from Three Belts, crashed at my house the night before.
Yep.
And we watched the watched the football games and stayed up a little late. And then I said, I'm sleeping. And then when I got up, I said, I'll make breakfast here and I'll bring the lunch stuff. So we had breakfast before we left. We were a little late. You had called me and said, where are you? Nelson had called me, said, where are you?
Yep.
We got going a little late, but we got there. You were waiting for us. We all walked in together, walked out on the ice. I mean, when we had gotten there was 3 pop-up tents.
Yeah.
The grills were all set up on the ice. Nelson's dad made his triumphant return to the ice. So he was cooking his homemade chorizo, and he had homemade wine for everybody.
And I believe he made that bread as well too, right? He baked that bread.
I think he did.
I think so. That was pretty dynamite too.
Yeah, it was great. And
made a little Sammy.
Yep. We started up my grill.
Oh yeah.
Right after we set up our tip ups. I did not bring my auger out there because I knew there would be numerous augers out there. Mine is actually waiting for a modification on one of the pieces. So mine's on the shelf right now. No big deal because I knew again there would be enough out there. So we started with Nelson's, and his is temperamental, which is great. It still works, but it's got a touch that you got to know how to really manipulate. And one of the folks out there with us was John Medina, a fellow MAKB member.
Yep.
John's a great guy. He had his buddy Joel out there. Who Joel mentioned he might be fishing with us this year, but because he mentioned it, now he's committed as far as.
Now he's exactly.
Yep, he's in. Game on. So welcome fishing to Joel, or welcome to Joel for fishing with us, and whether he is or not.
And they got on some pretty decent fish. I think by the time we had left, at least unless anything had changed, they had caught the biggest of the day.
Yeah, they caught a bass. I think it was like 18 or 19 inches.
Yeah, so, pretty good size.
Yeah, they did well. We had a lot of food. John actually came over once Nelson's drill was, proving a little beyond my means. He came over and he had a big, 2 double-handled
electric auger. Yeah,
electric auger,
nice.
And that thing, 10-inch auger, and it's just it ripped right through. I said, wow. So we had some. We got our holes out really quick. Got the minnows in there. I set up the grill. Nelson's dad saved me a chorizo just for me with knowing my dietary stuff. He said, hey, this one's for you. I said, thank you, Manny. I gave him a big hug. And then, you brought a couple of local Chickabee's finest, a couple of Blue Seal kielbases.
Only the best,
Only the best.
When you're going to celebrate, we had 2 in the chamber too. That was a double pack because the Queen Beef and I, we were at Costco the day before, and I saw a couple of giant kielbases, and I thought, the fellas might enjoy those.
And the fellas enjoyed them. My son ate a ton of it. We knocked it down, and then it was a good time. We got to see a lot of people. Let's see who was out there. So it was me, you, Derek, my son, John, Joel, Nelson, both his girls, his oldest daughter's boyfriend. Nelson has a crew that I honestly I've only fished with him once or twice, so I don't know everybody.
Yeah,
but I know they're either guys he works with or friends of folks he works with.
Yep.
And then we had a surprise. One of our classmates, one of the guys that graduated with me and Nelson, Rob Lekumsky, came out with his son and daughter, and man, it was a party. I'd say we at least had 25, 30 people on the ice.
Oh yeah. Easily. And there were pockets of other people that were out there too. Like today was, where we were is not a huge body of water by any stretch of the means, but there was a ton of people out there.
I mean, just with our tip-ups spread out everywhere, I'd say we probably had, what do you think, a fifth or a sixth of the lake to ourselves, just with the amount of tip-ups from our party were everywhere. And I was telling my parents, I actually just came from my brother's birthday. Happy birthday, Mike. And I was telling him, I said, it was kind of fun. It looked like some of the kids on the ice that were with our group had met up with some of the kids from like local that were on the ice with their parents from the houses around the lake.
Yeah.
Did you see someone had put their chair and like couch, their outdoor patio furniture on the ice minus the cushions?
I did.
And some kids were pushing other kids on the ice. Now, we haven't had snow in a little while here, so the ice was really, really slick. Not a lot of bumps.
Oh, yeah.
You get snow in and stuff, and it freezes, melts, etc. It gets pretty bumpy.
Mm-hmm.
This was solid, almost skating rink ice.
It was close.
These kids were getting one kid in the chair, getting behind him and just going as fast as they could and letting the kid in the chair go. So it was not uncommon to see a chair with a kid in it whipping by at about 15 to 20 miles an hour for no reason.
It was pretty awesome. It was great. It was pretty awesome.
And then, so our day did wrap early. Unfortunately, I had a family matter that popped up that I had to attend to, and we had to get out of there. But we ended up, we were on the ice for about 3 hours, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And ate a bunch of food, had a good time, met some people. It was really a blast. And that's, again, you've heard me say it over the past few years since you and I started hanging around with ice fishing. Nelson's the go-to. He's the point of contact. Yeah. I'm in the peripheral for that shit. I just like, hey, tell me where and I'll show up and eat food. Obviously, Derek got a lot of OJT and a little on-the-job training to the loudly, possibly even a little abusively from me about, what he's got to do, because he was running around with a camera.
Oh, yeah.
And, I would say, if I saw a flag, I would yell, hey, Brody and Derek, go get it. And Derek would run out with the camera after my son, and nobody would bring the sled with the minnows. And then I would yell, hey, rookie, you think you're a lot higher up on the totem pole than you are, buddy. What are you doing? You got to drag the sled. He knows what he's doing. He's teaching you, and it was funny. We all had a good time. So, but yeah, it was great. Thanks to Nelson for getting this all put on and organized. And we had a blast.
Oh, it was absolutely awesome.
There might be another one coming up, and believe it or not, Nelson's not going to be organizing this one. We actually had one of our contacts, we talked about it, reached out to us and said, I got a place, I got some ice. You guys coming up or what? And we're in the process of working that out. I'm in the process. Actually, what's going to dictate it is my basketball schedule, which I've asked for more games from our director because the kids are playing. It looks like above the depth of the rest of the league, which they're, we want it to be competitive, and it's really unfortunately not. And we haven't played every team in our division yet, but it's been kind of ugly so far. So I asked for, higher level teams, and we played one this weekend and things didn't go well. So that's what I had to turn the kids and say, you guys, you play a higher level of competition. This is how you improve on that. You're not going to win by 30 every game with me calling the horses off halfway through the first half. You know what I mean? So this weekend was a good lesson. And I said, I was upset. I was like, you guys played like garbage this morning. And our next practice, you're going to be doing boxing out drills and running. And that's it. Don't even bring a basketball. So got to do what I got to do, man. You got to teach the kids, right?
I believe the children are our future. You know what I'm saying?
They are.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, but it's true. No shit, they are our future. They're younger than us.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
My goodness, man.
What else did you do this week?
I mean, this week for me was, this week I actually got a lot done in terms of, like I said in last week's show, I wanted to focus on building the podcast audience. And I'm like, now I'm about week 1 into seeing if this platform is working. And I've definitely seen a slight bump up. I want to see if we can maintain that mobility and continue to see it grow. Really what I'm looking at is like now until like the next 6 months. I want to see what happens within the next 6 months. If it follows the same trend that it did last year, which is what I'm trying to avoid, it's a good trend. I just want to see those peaks go higher up. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, we're putting out a consistent product, and that is the most important thing. So I've been doing a lot of work with that. I have a lot of bookings today. This is a big work week. I had to. I'm doing another convention in Las Vegas at the end of February. So I booked my hotel for that. I got to start working on flights as far as getting all that stuff together, planning all this stuff. And what's crazy about that is that and when I come back, there is a sportsman show coming up in February locally at the Eastern States Exposition, the OSEG Outdoorsman Show. The sportsman show is awesome. It's a whole lot of fun. And we're working on doing little Jigs and Bigs live there.
We're going to have a little fun.
Yeah, we're going to be fun.
Now.
So that week is going to be insane because I'll be traveling back. I won't get home until early Friday morning, and I'll be a zombie all day. I'm going to try to do trivia that night so that I can get on my routine, and then the plan is that Saturday we'll go and do that. This week has been a lot of planning too for the live show on the 5th. That's kind of like the main thing on my docket right now is that I've had a lot of bookings come in for other events and things that I have to kind of juggle and square that stuff away. A lot of weddings this week too have been calling. A lot of inquiries on weddings for later in the year and next year. So that's cool. But yeah, I've been putting some stuff together as far as getting the details in order for the 5th. Working with the virtual vendors. In fact, I just got an email that there's a package from one of our virtual vendors that's on the way, which is awesome. And then, hosting a lot of game shows. I did a really interesting private event this last Friday. It was actually in the venue where I typically hold trivia normally, but it was closed off. It was a surprise 40th birthday party, and the guest of honor, come to find out, is quite the angler. Quite the outdoorsman in general, yeah. So we got to talking about the show. I obviously had hooked him up with one of our business cards. Told him, I'll give it a listen, scan the code, check it out. So if you guys see us at one of these shows, or you just see us in general, get a card from us because it's got links on there for everything you could possibly want from us. They're all right there. And it's just been nuts. And then we're obviously working with Three Bells. There is another big fishing show happening next weekend in Massachusetts that we'll be attending. And if you happen to be going by the Three Bells booth, say hi. So I think the plan is for me, I'll be there on Sunday. That's the plan for me. Are you doing the whole weekend? Is that your deal?
I will be there on Saturday.
You'll be there on Saturday. I'm going to plan to be there on Sunday. I talked it over with the old lady, and she's like, if you have a choice, she's like, I'd rather have you go on Sunday. And I was like, that's awesome. Let's do it. So we'll work that out. It'll be awesome. And then I went to Old Glory because I had to gear up for this. I wanted to go. Last time I ice fished, was the first time I ever had used a jigging combo, and I like that because it gives me something to do. I feel like I'm fishing. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I'm going to pick up a jigging rod. Maybe I'll pick up a tip-up as well in case we need them. We did not need another tip-up. We were good. No. So I actually haven't even set that one up yet. So I got line that I have to put on that spool and get everything all prepped with that. But that'll be ready to go by the next time we go out. And, so I did some jigging and, played around with some baits. And there was this, I forget the name of the bait. It's a 13 fishing soft plastic that Nelson had given me to throw on the back of my jig. And the scent, it said it was something with donkey sauce. So it's like, we got to go. I think they're going to hit the donkey sauce. I think that they will. And I had a couple of marks on the graph, they were nosing up, getting next to it, just not committing to it. But, you live, you learn.
We'll talk about that a little more, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're going to go all for it. Oh, nice. So we got Lauren from Three Bells here. She says Sunday it is. Boom. I love it.
Yep. I'm thinking about it now. I think I might be committed for Friday and Saturday for that show.
Okay. If you
I'd have to check my calendar.
You're like, I want to go up on Sunday just for the shits and giggles, if you want, you can ride up with me. Save the trip, That way you don't have to drive a third time.
Sunday I can't. Basketball.
Oh, that's right. Basketball.
Yep.
You'll be shooting the hoops.
I will be shooting the hoops. Well, I won't be, but the kids will. This weekend, I had the opportunity to do something that Nelson and I have been plotting and planning. I'm not going to get too into the details, but it was a big engineering project. We are problem solvers, me and Nelson. We have a problem. We want that shit gone.
If you've got a problem, they'll solve it.
We'll solve it. So we attacked a problem, and I'm not going to get into what the problem is because it'll tell everybody what we're doing. And this is top secret shit.
This is
but
KGB level.
We needed hardware of a certain description. So we devoted our day to, getting hardware or finding the piece we needed. Yes. Yep. I am out on Friday. Lauren is reminding me. I just saw that message. So I'm out on Friday. I'll be there Saturday. We are working on something that needed hardware.
Yep.
So I went personally to Home Depot, didn't see anything I needed. Okay. Nothing bad about Home Depot. I shop there often. Let's not.
If they don't have what they have, it happens.
They have what they have. They didn't have what I needed.
Yep.
Then I told Nelson that, and I said, well, let's look around. And we were actually planning on doing this at his house, but I have a number of hardware stores closer to me. He's a little more out in the woods, and he came over. First stop, Harbor Freight. We found things that might have worked.
Yep.
But I said, I don't feel confident. Let's see what else we can do. And I said, well, there's a Tractor Supply over in Southwick. Let's go over there.
Yep.
Went over to Southwick Tractor Supply.
Nothing.
Nothing. We walked out of there completely empty-handed.
Jerks.
And then I said to Nelson, and this was after we had eaten lunch, of course. I said, you know what? I said, let's just, for shits and grins, just to see if the items we're looking for are somehow in a niche product, let's go to Five Below. And he said, my daughters are, his daughters are teens, so they talk about Five Below. Teens do that. I go to Five Below with my kids too. So we went there and we poked around. I didn't see anything we needed. Found a couple other things that could be used for this project. We walked out of there. I think grand total spent $20 total between the two of us.
That's not bad.
And Nelson shows me something in the car and he says, hey, I got this for something else. I looked at it and I said, dude, that's the exact item we're looking for. We got it back to my house, modified it. Our little engineering plan, our little devious plan is coming to fruition rather nicely.
Really?
So more to come on that in the near and far future. We've got something cooking. So yeah, it's good stuff.
I like that. I can get behind that.
Yep. And then I believe that night I got home. I had some dinner, and then you and I had a visit with the Hook Set Hoodlums.
We did.
Yeah.
It was a fun one.
So it was. Yeah, we haven't live streamed with them in some time, and they were great to have us on, and we talked quite a bit about the 100th episode, which, guys, check out what is it? It's the Hoodlum Cast.
The Hoodlum Cast. It's on the Hook Set Hoodlums YouTube channel. Check that out.
Yep. Does that drops next? Does it drop on Fridays?
No, it doesn't drop on Fridays. I think it drops on like Tuesday or Wednesday. I want to say. I got to double check. Yeah, I see. That's the thing. I don't track the day that it drops on, because when I subscribe to the Hook Set Hoodlums YouTube, I hit the notification bell, so I just get a notification when it drops. Because again, I'm old and need as much assistance as possible to direct me to my social media. Notify me.
True,
Alexa.
True. So there you go. Anybody wants to know when it's dropping? Hook Set Hoodlums. Follow them on Instagram, Facebook, wherever. They generally post it everywhere. Check it out, and we're on there. And there was a special surprise guest.
Oh, there was.
Should we blow that? We should blow that, right? Let's just say that if we needed to fend off a Jaguar,
we had it covered.
I'm sorry, a Jaguar.
Yeah. If there was any,
we had it covered. Yep.
That's true. That's it. Enough said. You guys know it. So a couple of the things that I've been working on over the weekend is I've been trying to get a little bit more active, putting some clips up on our YouTube channel. So I know, all the jig heads, as we record this right now, all the jig heads who are, available and can come to these are actually watching the recording right now. So sometimes there's tangents that will go on. Some things might not necessarily make the show, but they kind of get to see it all live. It's like seeing how the sausage is made. But instead of just having this YouTube channel just for whatever, what I've been doing is I've been putting together some clips and putting them on the show of like just some really poignant kind of stuff. And I found a great clip from our past guest, Cody Jennings, from the last episode. I popped that on there. But I also put up that last call from Howie. It was the Jaguars that that kind of made me think of it. So if you guys are like, interested in checking that out, you can go and follow the YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel over there. We're going to have some stuff that we're going to post on that. And, of course, anything that is like a Jighead exclusive, of course, our Jigheads are going to get a private link to those videos so that they can go and check out those clips if they want as well. And if you're interested in becoming a Jighead, because this is like kind of like that I hate saying like, this is for like the hardcore fans of Jigs and Bigs, like those listeners that are just like, we love this show. You want to, put into it. So what we do is we have a $5 subscription over at Patreon. If you go to jigsandbigs.com, there's a Patreon button right there. You can go there and become a Jighead. All you got to do is subscribe. It's $5 a month. You can cancel anytime you want. If you're not into it, then awesome, But what we try to do is we try to drop some exclusive content in there every so often. We put some stuff out there. Like we've got an event. We've got something that's really good for you that involves Howie, and we'll kind of get everybody up to speed on Howie. And Sean has been loving the process of going through the archives of Jigs and Bigs history and finding all of these gems. And we're going to put them all together and kind of like have a conversation about like how all these things work together. It's a really, really great. It's going to be a very entertaining, if nothing else. And there's some secret shit in there, too, that you guys don't know about. That's the thing. Yep. There's a lot of, like, secret shit that you guys don't know about the whole Howie story and all that other stuff that you might want to check out. So if you want exclusive access to that, you can become a Jighead. Go ahead, subscribe, check it out. And, of course, all that money from the subscriptions, we basically roll right back into the show is really what it does. That's kind of like the maintenance stuff. So when you're a Jighead, you're really helping us kind of get together and do this kind of shit, and we appreciate that. So that is pretty freaking awesome. Yeah. Freaking bananas.
Yes, sir.
Freaking bananas. Of course, we should remind you guys, we haven't heard yet about our merch over at Mantis Graphics as far as getting the store all set, but they actually are doing some technical stuff on their end, changing over basically the engineering of everything and switching some things over. So you can still check out our merchandise at jigsandbigs.com. Once that store is up online, just go back to it. But just know that they're currently undergoing a little bit of construction. You can go ahead and get your Jigs and Bigs merch in your hot little hands real quickly. We've got the fishing report. There was just a fishing report notification that went out this week, which is awesome. And like, this is great if you're interested in ice fishing locally. Now we've got some real action going on the ice, like actually happening. People are catching fish and we're talking about it. It's pretty freaking cool. You can also find out like what where the not only the best deal but like the best selection of bait is. If you need baits, you can go and get yourself hooked up with all kinds of stuff. Get your shiners, get your spikes, get your everything, whatever it is you need. And of course we have some Instagram giveaways that are happening. Sean's inching a little bit closer to that 1,000 mark, and once that happens, do you know where you are?
I'm 65 in that neighborhood
65. Away. Holy crap, man. That's pretty good growth, dude. Like every single week, it's like, I don't think we've hit a week in the last like 5 or 6 weeks where it hasn't bumped up a little bit,
With what, pulling back the beef curtains a little bit, with what you kind of really, I'm not going to say sold, but really educated me about with the way that we've really been attacking other forms of media now and just getting our names out there. And it could be something as simple as answering a question somebody has on a group chat or something.
Yeah.
I've seen my numbers go up with followers, and it's been really cool. And it's just doing it the positive, organic way.
I think
it's not being bossy. And I don't think I've mentioned the podcast in how many posts, maybe one time, like 50 posts. I mentioned it one time and it was relevant. So we're not being complete whores.
Yeah, that is definitely one thing that I am trying to do, is be a little bit more active in the fishing community online, as far as like getting in there and mingling and socializing on social media, if you will. So like you may actually see Sean and myself pop into some Facebook groups or some Reddit threads or, you know, something like that. I mean, we'll get to some of these things. Discord, like it's a little bit out of our scope at the moment, but you might see some things popping in there. And, you know, that's part of my plan is to not go and, you know, promote hard with like logo on this, and push. It's just more about like trying to add value anywhere that we can. And, you know, value comes in the shape of a lot of different things. For some people, value with this show might be the Just the Tip segment. They're looking to learn something new, you know, and that's great. If that can do that for them, then perfect. For others, it's about entertainment. So the majority of, you know, our banter in this first segment or FTG or the tail end or the Easter eggs or the Howie stuff. I mean, this show is very heavily on the entertainment. And then, you know, at the same time, too, we also try to engage with our tournaments, our online tournaments. And that, I got to tell you, man, I'm really excited for this year. I think this year's going to be really exciting. I know that the MAKB, at least the MAKB West stuff, is just going to be unbelievable. The EKF schedule looks awesome. It's going to be an amazing year. You know, I mean, that's all I've got to kind of add with that. Just good shit overall. I freaking love it, man.
I do want to make a mention, Bobby, as we're talking about social media.
Yeah.
I did get a message from one Berkshire Brett. No relation to Chicopee Chet.
No relation. Yep.
But Berkshire Brett let me know that he's been, you know, as we know, we met Berkshire Brett through the initial run of the fishing report when I was publishing it as a blog on our site.
Yep, that's right.
And I met Brett through My Four Sons Tackle, bait and tackle up to Shears. And Brett's been very involved with getting them a little bit more of a social media presence. So just wanted to pass along. They have an Instagram page now. Go ahead and check it out.
Oh, My Four Sons has an Instagram?
My Four Sons does. Yes, they do. So go ahead, check that out. And if you're up to Shears and you need shiners, check them out.
Yeah,
they got shiners. Call ahead. See, make sure they got them. They're if you come off Interstate 90 on exit 2, you hook right around, go west on 20, and it's not very far down the road, maybe 5 miles, if that. 4 miles, 3 miles? I don't know. How far is that? It's a few miles. It's not too far. But it's right there.
Yeah. Is it my 4, the number 4? It is.
Yeah.
It's my _4 sons _bait is what it is. And follow.
Give him a follow, folks.
Yeah.
Berkshire Brett does good shit. He's a great guy, and he's bringing My Four Sons into the 21st
the technological age. You know, and that's one thing too. Like I want to give Brett, and here's why. Since the day we met Brett, he has been so awesome with like feeding us little nuggets of info here and there, usually in the form of like an Instagram message or a story or sharing a link or something like that. If there's something, and that is really freaking great, man. Because, you know, like, lots of times there is stuff where we're focusing on, like this week was a great example, actually. I was talking with the organizers for the West Springfield Sportsman Show, and we're getting together some details there. And, you know, it's just, you know, calls back and forth and putting things into email. So we've got a paper trail and everything and putting all this stuff together. And there's stuff that's kind of like gone just by the wayside, you know, and what's awesome is Brett will hook us up with some of the info and get us the details on what's going on. And I love that. I love that stuff, you know? Yeah. In fact, sometimes the stuff is just great. I don't know if he shared this with you from the Harpoon Brewery Instagram, but it's a reel, and it's after X amount of Harpoon IPAs. And like, I feel like our listeners who are not in Western Massachusetts or not in New England anyway, like the ones who are like really out there, anybody down south or on the West Coast, they might appreciate this.
This is me after 1 Harpoon IPA. This is me after 2 Harpoon IPAs. This is me after 3 Harpoons. My guy, this is me after a 60 of Harpoon IPAs. Bah, bah, bah. This is me after.
That is probably the most accurate thing.
Hashtag truth.
My guy. I got a good laugh after that. I think I saw that today when I got back. I had a good chuckle. But man, I'm psyched to get out on the ice, dude. I really am. Like this was a lot of fun.
This is how we roll.
Yeah.
Nelson's a fucking event planner on the ice. It's great.
He really is, man. It's like say yes to the dress on. I'm an idiot. I am an idiot. Guys, we're going to take a real quick break. We're going to come back, and we've got a great, remainder of the show as well. This week, I've got Ramon Outdoors, and I don't know if you follow Ramon on YouTube or on Instagram, but he posted a great video, and it's the one with the mud. I'm just going to say that, and that lets me know right there that Ramon and I, we're bros. We're like brothers from another mother. Like it is. These are the experiences that Bobby Roast Beef has on the regular. So it's a great interview. You're going to want to stick around for that for sure. We also have Just the Tip coming up. We're going to talk about some ice fishing tips, stuff that I learned firsthand that I think everybody could utilize and maybe put to use. The other thing, too, is that we've got some action going on for the Chronic Trips tournament, some of which we were privy to. I don't know if there were any other fish that were entered since then, but we're going to get all those details from Sean the Fisherman. And in this week's FTG, we got a doozy. We got a doozy. And we'll see you guys right after this short break. Don't go too far. We got this message from Old Glory Outdoors right here. Jigs and Bigs is proud to announce we're being supported by Old Glory Outdoors. They're a veteran-owned company that carries fishing and hunting gear. Plus, they're highly active in supporting veteran organizations and charities. Old Glory is an authorized dealer of favorite rods, FX rods, Guggen baits, X-Zone lures, Sixth Sense, and many more. There's a brick-and-mortar store located in East Brookfield, Massachusetts, but you can also order online at oldgloryoutdoors.com. They ship anywhere in the lower 48 states or order online and pick up at the store. When you order, use the promo code JIGS and Bigs and you'll save 10% off your complete order. Plus, you'll help support the show. Make sure to check out the apparel line called OGO Gear while you're there. Old Glory Outdoors believes in the slogan "Start 'em young" to keep kids away from screens and enjoying nature. They've got a full array of live bait too. Check out oldgloryoutdoors.com and use the promo code JIGS and Bigs. Save some money and gear up now.
Bobby and Sean now have a special presentation for us all. They'd like to give everyone just the tip.
Absolutely right. It's Just the Tip, guys. This is like the little educational or informational segment of the show we like to give with our listeners each and every week. We try to, we cover a wide array of topics from, rigging and, fishing techniques and planning and all sorts of map reading, drawing penises on maps. I mean, you name it. At networking, social media content, all that stuff. Sometimes I think Just the Tip is about not being an asshole. Sometimes. But as is FTG. I'm getting off topic. This week, guys, what I want to share with you for Just the Tip are a handful of things that I have learned after making a return to the ice after a lapse of over 25 years. So first and foremost, today was amazing. Had a great time. I did not catch a thing. I could not have cared less. I am definitely in camp Sean the Fisherman when it comes to ice fishing being a completely separate animal to anything else. In fact, I did start my Angler app while I was out on the ice, and I was prepared to mark anything, basically just so that I could know the details of where I was, maybe if I were to fish open water over at this spot sometime. But did not need to do that, so I just marked the trip with as a skunk. Anyway, a couple of things. First off, when your boy got up today, right, and I got all ready to go, I am a firm believer that I think layering is the way to go. I've had conversations with other people. They're like, oh, yeah, ice fishing's great. I just put on my big parka and I'm good to go. The issue is managing your body temperature with something like that. So when you dress in layers, you can make adjustments. So what I had done today, I'm a big guy, and a lot of people think that like heavier people, they like hold their heat and they don't get cold. That's bullshit.
That's being a walrus, not a human being.
Yeah, that's not necessarily true. So what I did today was I had picked up a decent synthetic base layer, and I even picked up some performance boxer briefs that are synthetic as well. And the whole idea is that should you start to perspire, this is going to wick any kind of moisture away from your body, which will ultimately make you cold. So I put on my thermals and got everything ready. And what I had done was I had just put on an old pair of jeans over that. I had put on a t-shirt on top of my base layer, and I wore a insulated zip-up hoodie with my boots. I wore the muck boots that I picked up. What is the brand of those? Honeywell. We talked about them before.
Service, but they're made by Honeywell.
Service,
right?
They're made by Honeywell. Yeah, there is no insulation in these at all. And I wore my nice heavy wool socks, which they're awesome. They're so good. I have this pair of boots that I often wear like in the fall when I'm fishing. They're from LL Bean. And they're pretty solid. I think they insulate a bit more. I think I probably would have been a bit more comfortable wearing those because the sole also sucks on these Honeywell boots. So it's either an insole's got to go in there, or figure something out. Maybe an additional insulating layer, perhaps. Because I think how long we were out there? About 2.5 hours or so, 3 hours maybe.
I think 3 hours.
I think so. About 3 hours, and at that point, my feet were getting pretty cold, and I was like, I'd be all right with calling it a day. On top of that insulated hoodie, I wore a down vest. So I had my vest on over that, and for gloves, I used a fingerless glove with a mitten flap that goes over, so I could get coverage from the wind and everything if I wanted it while I wasn't jigging or something. I was jigging basically all day, and I was great with that. As far as what I put on my head, I did a like a spandex, almost like a ski mask, and that's primarily so that I have this bulk of stuff that goes around my neck to just kind of block the wind, and I can cover up up to over my nose even if need be, like almost like a scarf.
And right from the get-go, we were making Lord of the Rings Gimli the dwarf jokes. It was great. It was perfect because of your beard. It was wonderful. You rolled with it.
Oh yeah,
and we had your axe.
Man, good freaking stuff. Good stuff. So I did that, and then on top of that, I put just a Carhartt, like a skull cap, on top of that. This is my first time using crampons, aka ice cleats. And this was a game changer. That is 100% something. This is a recommendation from Sean the Fisherman. I decided I would just pick up a pair and try them out. Now, I didn't get the super aggressive looking ice spikes like you see on most people. These are just it's basically like a rubber, like a stretchy sort of skeleton in a way that kind of goes over the base of your boot. And then there's two plates, one on the heel and one further up on the front end of the foot near your toes. And they're tungsten. They've just got tiny little spikes. And what a difference. I had no problem with sliding around on the ice at all. And like you said, there wasn't any snow on the ice or anything like that. It was a really smooth kind of layer. And this is the type of ice you would have been sliding all over on otherwise. So they were great. They were actually really good.
It was smooth like jazz.
Smooth. All right. So it was great. It was awesome. Things that I have learned. Number one, anytime you go and ice fish, make sure it is with the DaCosta folks, because they know how to do it right. That's all I'm going to say. Make sure that it's with Nelson and Manny. Holy crap, because this is exactly it. The beauty about ice fishing is that, you can be super serious about it. But even those that are super serious about it, I find that when you're ice fishing in a group, it's sort of like take fishing and tailgating.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of where I could, it's snowshoeing. Maybe that's kind of like the best kind of way to put it in order. Like, compare it like that. And I'm like, so mix those three. And that's kind of what ice fishing is. Like, I mean, there was food, there was drinking, there was, you name it. We had drones. There was talk of amateur pornography happening in some of these tents. You had, it was wild. You had kids zipping around on lawn furniture. It was a lot. It was a good time. It was a really good time.
We should, while we're in the middle of this, we should clarify about the drones and the cameras.
Yes.
Derek brought some cameras, and it was a lot of fun. And then somebody else had a drone that worked. Derek's was unfortunate and did not get off the ground. He thinks due to the cold, it wasn't passing its self checks and just wouldn't do its thing. So whatever.
That definitely happens with some of that stuff.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. It happens. I think that's like tip number one. And I say, you go with Nelson, go with Mandy, but the reality of it is, like, go with somebody who's just doing this. Like, if you ever get the invite from one of your friends that does this routinely, take them up on it. Number one, they're probably going to bring you somewhere where the fish will be biting or anything, but also, like, they've also worked out the kinks. And there's a lot that you can learn that way. This was the first time I had ever used a sounder. Normally, anytime I've ever set up tip-ups previously, it was just a guess. But again, this was also the first time I've ever used a fish finder while ice fishing. And that was amazing. And not even a flasher, using it in that sense, like just typical 2D sonar. And it was great because I could actually see, like, not only the depth, but I was able to find my jig. And then, I would know, like, when there was something that was nearby. It was great. It was awesome. It didn't help me at all today, but it was definitely a learning experience. And I'll tell you what, it's got me kind of like, rethinking that striker.
Yeah, you could repurpose that. You and I had talked about that while we were out on the ice. So
yeah,
anything you can do to make the ice fishing easier while you're out there, recommended.
The other,
that was good. You won't.
I would also say, like, the third tip, if there is a third tip, if you have kids, bring your kids, because when you have a flag go off, you can just send them. And it's awesome. And you're doing two things. One, you get to enjoy your sandwich or your, cold beverage or your coffee or whatever it is. And then you're teaching younger anglers about the right way to do things and keeping the kids active, keeping them from playing on their screens the whole time, And the adults can just huddle around the grill and keep warm. It's nice.
True. Yeah. That's some good stuff, man. Definitely bring the kids. You gotta send them out for the tip-ups.
I think, yeah.
We're too old for that shit now.
I think for sure. Yeah. And they enjoy it, especially like if they like ice skating and stuff. That's a great opportunity for them to, throw their skates on and double down and, have a little activity where you're like, oh, flag. They're like, oh, I got it. Great. It's a giant pickerel shit. It happens. We did not mention earlier that we did have one rig that was just bitten entirely off, which that was pretty slick. It makes me think that there's, some big toothy creatures in there.
Yeah, and we talked about that. Unlike the rest of my fishing, my ice fishing is just so lax that I haven't checked the leaders or anything like that. You even mentioned my rig. You're like, what are you doing? I'm like, this is so simple. A split ring to the ice line, and then a fluorocarbon leader, 20-pound test, and then a hook. And that's it. It's a little circle hook. That's it.
Yeah.
And I don't get any deeper than that. I throw a shiner out there, and my kids go get it. The end.
Yeah.
And it went right through it above the little split ring. So something with teeth probably grabbed that thing and
ran with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Freaking nuts. It was good stuff. I had a great time. So yeah, start there. If you know somebody, you get an invite to go and ice fish, you've never done it before, take advantage of it. Trust me, it's something you should really enjoy. Especially and you never want to ice fish alone, especially if you're new to it. Definitely want to have a buddy there, because if anything were to happen to you while you're out there, it's a long walk back and forth to the ice, A bonus tip, bring a bucket. I
Both
should have
to
brought.
sit on?
Yes, mainly to sit on, but it also doubles as a storage because I thought about that. I've got some small folding chairs, and I'm like, oh, should I bring like little tiny camp chairs? And I'm like, oh, should I bring one of these? And I'm like, nah, it's just one more thing I have to carry. And then I'm like, but if I brought a bucket, I could put a bunch of stuff right in there, lug it on out, and I'm like, it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yep. One other thing I can recommend too that both or all four of us, myself, you, Derek, my son, for safety, just in case. I mean, we had 7-inch ice. Nobody was going through that.
Yeah.
But I always have around my neck
ice picks.
The ice picks, exactly, to get out. They're safety. They were on Amazon. I think I got them for under $10 a pair. But I bought 4 of them for my family at the house so that we can go out on the ice and we have that extra added safety in case something does happen. You have to pull yourself to shore. $40 is not a high cost for, your life or the life of your loved ones. So
exactly, like it's worth it. Just like your PFD and all that stuff. Safety equipment is easily infinitely more valuable than the price you paid for it. Like 100%. I couldn't agree more with that.
Yep.
It was fun stuff, man. It was good. So is there anything that you think I should have been paying attention to that I didn't, that I missed?
No, because I think you guys, you were. I mean, you know how to hook up. You know how to hook bait. That was pretty easy.
That's easy.
I think one thing that looked like you were learning was sounding the water.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I had never used a sounder before, and like I said, normally it's just guessing. But when you kind of figure it out, I guess it makes perfect sense because then even without using a depth finder, you then kind of get an idea of like what you're looking on. Even with the sounder, if it comes up with something, you're good to go. Oh yeah, see, Fishing in the Sticks jumps in here with something else. He says, "My ice bibs and jacket float."
There you go.
I think that's the jam. Like I really think like that is the jam, and I think that I mean, if I'm going to be doing this more routine, and you do this more than a handful of times, you should invest in a good set of bibs and a jacket that a float suit. Cover your ass.
Same thing can be said for a wetsuit if you go that route, wear it underneath. But with just taking a step back quick, and we can wrap up just a tip with sounding again for folks in the South or people that aren't ice fishing. All you do is you set up your tip up before you put it in the water. To your hook, you attach a small clip-on weight, and it's about what? Maybe half an ounce? No, it's more than half an ounce. Maybe
probably 3/4 of an ounce to an ounce. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just drop it down until the line stops moving. So you've got it to the bottom. What I do is I pinch the line at the water marker, and then I'll take like a foot or so because you figure your tip up's going to stick into the water a foot. So I mark it at that foot below the water line.
Yep.
And then I pull it back up, and if depending on where I want to set that, do I want the minnow to be at the bottom? Do I want the minnow to be at the top? Then I'll base that how much line I have out.
Yeah.
On that point in the line. So yeah, that's how I do it. So that's what sounding is. It's really easy. Or if you have a fish finder that like Nelson does, it's portable and he uses it for ice fishing as well.
Yep.
You can do that too. There's no wrong answers here.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So before we jump into our next segment, I do want to say that we're literally now 2 weeks away from the 100th episode recording. I have one of the things I had been doing last week was I had been talking with the venue, Nathan Bills, about that about that banquet hall. And they had asked me a very important question. They said, how would you like the layout for the tables? And how many seats do we need? So I had gone through what we had for ticket sales, and I gave them a number. We do have some tickets that are still available. I'm asking all of our listeners, if you could, get your ticket sales complete ASAP, simply because we need to have a head count beforehand. We will not be able to guarantee you a seat if you purchase your tickets like the day before or the day of. So it may be one of these things where we have to kind of scramble and put it together. So if you're thinking about coming out, now we're at the point where you can kind of like look at the weather and things like that. It's going to be really, really awesome. I think I know in the Hoodlum cast we talked, Sean, about some of the details that we have lined up. I think the only thing I want to talk about here regarding that, I'll let folks listen to that for some of the extra content. But a couple of the other things that I want to mention here are that we have some amazing vendors that are partnering with us. That list is actually still kind of expanding. We have a lot of surprises for you guys that I think you're really, really going to enjoy. And what makes that show such a unique one is that we will have 2 special guests that are going to be absolutely fantastic, but we're going to do an AMA with them. So essentially, we're going to have this giant conversation about fishing, about content creation, about anything really, and we're going to talk. You folks that are in the audience that night will be asking us questions. We're going to go ahead and answer them, or do like a round table and have this awesome discussion and see what we can come up with. It's sort of like if you remember when we did that crazy live stream with like 12 different contributors over on at St. Patrick's Day this past in 2021. It's kind of going to be the same idea. The only difference for us is that we're gonna take it up a notch, and it'll be a little bit cleaner because everybody will be in one location. So get ready. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Lots and lots and lots of surprises, tons of laughs. It's going to be a party. So with that said, you can get your tickets at jigsandbigs.com. There is a little image for the event. Just click on that image. It'll bring you right over to Eventbrite. That's how we're doing all of our ticket sales. Go ahead, get your tickets. It's $10. And that $10, a portion of that is going to cover some of the expenses, but the majority of that is going to make Massachusetts Fishing Spots Great Again, which is a local nonprofit organization that cleans up Massachusetts waterways right where Jigs and Bigs is based. And they get right in there and they do the work that nobody else wants to do. In fact, if you fish some of these areas and you do pick up some trash, and you've ever used a trash barrel at one of these locations, it was probably provided by Make Massachusetts Fishing Spots Great Again. So we're really, really excited to present them that night. We're doing the cheesy big check and everything. It's going to be so cool. It's going to be awesome, guys. And we know that we have some folks coming from as far away as Maryland. I think possibly even as far away as Indiana. From what I've heard, and then we've got a bunch of locals too that are going to be around that are all characters. So this AMA is going to be worth seeing, if nothing else. It's going to blow your minds. And this, I should say this too. We mentioned earlier that we're going to be doing a live recording at the Sportsman Show at the Eastern States Exposition. That's happening. While this is a great little practice for that, the 100th show, we're doing the full show. So buckle up. We're doing all the elements there. At the Sportsman Show, we're doing, because time is of the essence, we're going to basically be recording our first segment and with some extras here and there. But we're going to have ourselves a good time, guys. You can win some great prizes, have a lot of fun, and help an amazing organization in our area that's doing the work that nobody else wants to do. Trust me, you guys don't want to miss it. I'm stoked, Sean. I'm stoked and I'm stressed about this show.
I am too. It's going to be here before we know it.
I know. It's like 2 weeks are going to go like that. I mean, we have the Boxborough show that we have over the weekend, so I'm going to try to tie up as many loose ends as I can before we get to Saturday, and then I'm hoping to be able to have everything lined up the week going into it. I've got some graphic work to do. I've got some content that I have to organize. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. And yeah, you're going to want to get there, and you're not going to want to miss a minute of it. But all right, so with all that said, Sean, are you ready for this next little bit?
Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
Indeed. So this FTG is kind of a unique FTG in the sense that we have two different elements. I think we were going in one direction, and then something occurred on the ice that changed the direction of our FTG. So I think what we'll do is we'll start with that FTG, and then we're going to do a little honorable mention.
Yeah. We encountered a very, very, very rare and different species of lake louse.
Indeed.
The winter blooming lake louse.
You would think that wouldn't be a thing, but it's very much a thing.
Yeah, there are. So again, you mentioned earlier, this lake was not the biggest lake in the world. We had tip-ups everywhere. And apparently some of the house owners had asked people, which the fishing community complied with, to leave a large swath open for ice skaters, which there was plenty of room for ice skating. Right?
Definitely. Yep.
And we were there about what, an hour? I think we had set our tip-ups up, and then we heard a noise. We heard a very ominous noise. A large motor. What it was a dirt bike.
Mm-hmm.
Looked like what? Looked like either I would say probably a teenager or a young adult.
Yeah.
On that bike.
Yeah, definitely somebody who knew everything.
Yes, and that person took the bike out. We have pictures of. We should check if they were wearing a helmet. I'm not positive.
Oh, let me check. I already posted some of those pictures actually to Instagram. I did a post of everything today. I don't. Oh no, you know what? We can't see if that individual had a helmet because that individual was ducking down on the side of their bike at the time I took the picture because they dumped the fucker on the ice.
And I noticed they can't.
They deserve this.
I did notice I was fine with them on the ice doing that. This is America. Do what you want. But they got real close to the tip-ups. And
real close to the kids that were skating, too.
Yeah, and here's where the fuck this guy part comes in. He turned around and apparently, I don't know, flooded the engine, spilled it, did whatever he did, and had to have the longest walk of shame with a motorcycle I have ever seen in my life. This was halfway across the lake.
Yeah.
He had to walk that thing all the way back. Now, you would think that would have been enough. But as we were leaving,
this was amazing.
He was gearing up, did not get on the ice. Maybe somebody talked him out of it. We can only hope. With a quad. So, hey, motorbike guy, motorbike kid, fuck you, fuck that guy. And, you know, I mean, really, Bobby, when you think about it, there's only one thing that he could have been doing.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, there's only one thing he could have been doing.
Using crack and cocaine to get high. That's what you say you know.
It's true.
It's true.
It's true. It's true. There was one thing, crack and cocaine. It's funny because I distinctly, as soon as I heard that engine, I had watched a video, a Todd Grubbs video, and there was a clip from Becca that she had included in one of her videos of the same outing. And this was, if anybody's wondering, this is the video where Todd has to deal with some drunk a-hole who almost just climbs into his ice hut and starts messing around with his equipment, and meanwhile he's like jigging at another hole, and it was just it was ridiculous. I can't believe that Todd didn't throttle this guy, honestly. And
deservedly so.
But I noticed in this video that I heard the dirt bikes in the background, like all over the place, and at first I was like, those snowmobiles? Because that is common. I see snowmobiles. I see sleds all the time on frozen lakes and ponds, you know, the zipping across all over the place, or, you know, all kinds of shit. So you see this kind of thing. But I'm like, no. In the background of the video, I was like, no shit, that's a thing. And it was just, I had never experienced somebody with a dirt bike on the ice before. Like I said, my time on frozen lakes locally has been minimal at best, but it's just one of those things I hadn't seen. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, that is absolutely bananas. And it wasn't like a huge body of water, so it's not there was ample space necessarily. Could have gone very bad. But the honorable mention was something that was discussed on our trek from the parking area to where we were ice fishing. Folks at Ice Fish, you may have noticed these mounds of slush around a hole, around an ice hole. And when you see that there, Sean made a really good point that when all that stuff freezes back up together and is basically solid again, you basically have this giant hump, and that's going to like screw up everything for anybody who wants that smooth surface. When you're lucky enough to have it, or you manage to cultivate it, because you see people that'll go out there and smooth out the top of a pond so that they can skate freely. When you see somebody, you know, doing that kind of stuff, this kind of makes a mess of it. So like when you're, you know, drilling out your ice holes, just take and like, you know, distribute the slush. Either drop it right back in. We learned a nice little trick from John. That was a good trick. That was really good. Go ahead.
I was just going to describe it. So John had me when I was using his new auger, his electric auger. He said, because he watched me kick all the slush everywhere.
Yep.
Spreading it out, doing what I know how to do. And he said, watch this. He said, hold the auger in the ice, put it on reverse, hit the trigger, and kick that stuff back in. And in the reverse motion, it actually pushes the stuff underneath the ice shelf where it gets distributed. And I was blown away. I said I had not thought of that. So, yeah, that was a good one.
That was a really good tip because it was nice and clean and smooth. And then when it freezes over again, you're left with something. You're not left with essentially a mogul. Yes. That's really what it is. And ice skates and moguls, bad idea. Bad idea.
So the fuck that guy is just, look, we as anglers get upset when recreational folks do stupid shit.
Of course we do.
So in the absolute least, we need to take the high ground and, make it easier on them. And then maybe somebody will realize, wow, hey, people are making it easier for us to skate. Maybe we shouldn't fuck with people in the summer with our jet skis. You never know.
That's the whole thing.
You never know.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. That's what definitely one way of looking at it. But also at the same time, lots of people that might be skating, they might be folks that live on the ice, and then or they not live on the ice, live on that body of water. And you think about if they have to deal with my kids got injured skating because they took a digger because of this freaking ice hump that was out there, from somebody who's ice fishing. Well, that probably turns them off from any angling whatsoever.
You don't want to anger the ice people of Belchertown.
The Belchertonian Ice Clan. Don't do it. Don't do it. But I mean, what I'm getting at is if you leave a good impression with homeowners, stuff like that, when you're out, ice fishing, it helps out when you're there open water fishing as well, because it's definitely good. You're more likely to mingle, I think, with property owners while ice fishing than you are open water fishing. I think, I don't know. Exactly. Yeah, it is what it is.
So double FTG on the ice.
Yeah, little extra for you guys because that was actually the direction we were going to go, and then we heard freaking Captain Kawasaki making it happen, doing his thing. And when he wasn't
evil Knievel, he was slightly bad Knievel.
Exactly. Oh, freaking Kyle Kawasaki! I love it. All right, guys. We are going to take a short break. We got a quick message from. Oh, we got more.
Oh,
that's right. Chronic trips.
Why do I write this? Why do I write out this format for us? What are you doing?
You're right.
Well, our last thing before we go to break, on the ice today, we did see one member. Jesus, that sounds horrible. We saw one. Thank you. We saw one contestant in the current Chronic Trips tournament. Nelson, every time he ran to a tip up, did in fact have his ruler with him because Nelson,
of course,
and Nate have now been joined by John Connon. People, the ice is here. Get on the ice, get on Fishing Chaos, join the Chronic Trips tournament.
Yep.
I'm actually going to give an update at the end of the month because there's been these three guys are duking it out, and really nobody's catching a million fish. It is ice fishing, so you gotta get out there on the weekends. But I'm going to update the scores at the end of the month. But right now, John, Nelson, and Nate, they're looking for competition.
Yeah.
Step up, get in there, show them what you can do on the ice, folks. Everybody's using shiners. Everybody's using tip-ups. Let's go.
Let me also throw this out here that this is a nationwide tournament. We mention ice because that's what we're dealing with locally, and all three of our competitors are dealing with that right now. And I'm gonna stoke the competitive fires here just a little bit. And I realize, folks, people out there in the fishing content consuming space, I realize you're hearing this from an old boy, a Yankee. But there's a lot of shit talk that comes from folks that are down south about fish from up north. And, they got small fish. In fact, recently enough, I heard a bit of content where there was a southern-based Alabama-based, actually, angler, a pretty prominent one, actually, in the content creation realm, anyway, who had gone on to actually kind of criticize another angler up here in the same realm, a colleague, if you will, stating something specifically about fishing in New England is tough because it's all small fish. They don't get that big up here or anything, but I don't see those folks entering in these competitions that we manage, and I know we've got the listeners. So just as a reminder, guys, sign up if you've got open water near you. And yeah, I know it's colder temperatures. It's tougher to get them to bite. It's definitely more of a challenge. Sign up. Join the Chronic Trips tournament. Download Fishing Chaos. Trust me, this works for you if you're on a bank, you're in a kayak, you're on the ice, you're waiting, whatever it is, you're on a big boat. Go ahead and join. It's a whole lot of fun, and then we will see you guys in we'll see. When's our first tournament for Jigs and Bigs?
April.
We're the April one. Oh, that's going to be good.
We're the April.
We are the April tournament. So in April, we'll have a Jigs and Bigs tournament that'll go for you, and that should be pretty exciting. So that about does that for me. But yeah, when I heard that, Sean, I was just like, oh, come on. You guys are going to start with this again. I mean,
yeah.
Let's come on. They're nationwide tournaments. Shut us up.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's all you can say.
Shut us up, We're going to take a short break, though, guys, because we've gotten past all of our info for Chronic Trips that's ongoing right now. You guys should stick around. We've got a Ramon Outdoors coming up in this next segment. Ramon and I go back and forth about a bunch of stuff. And what I found really interesting about talking to Ramon was he came to fishing from the hunting world. He was into hunting. And I did not realize that he had traveled so far around the country in some different areas. So he's got some pretty interesting experience going on that is pretty cool. And I think that can create some fantastic fishing content for you guys. So we've got him coming up after this short message from Three Bells Outfitters. Guys, don't go too far. We will see you in just a bit. Jigs and Bigs is proud to announce that we're being supported by Three Bells Outfitters. Located in Smith Cove on the Niantic River, TBO is Connecticut's premier paddle sports retailer. They're a full-service shop specializing in kayaks and paddleboards for everything from recreation to tournament fishing. Three Bells is an authorized dealer of Hobie, Jackson, Feel Free, Native, and Bonafide kayaks, as well as many paddleboard brands. Not sure of what kind of SUP or kayak you want? TBO offers free demos of all brands. Want to go for an extended test drive? They have a full-service rental facility on site. Three Bells also offers a complete rigging service for your kayak with such brands as Yak Attack, Yak Gear, Burley Pro, Yak Power, Torpedo, and more. The sky is the limit. You can visit Three Bells Outfitters in person or online at threebellsoutfitters.com. They ship anywhere in the lower 48 states or order online and pick up at the store. Can't make it to the store to pick up your kayak or worried the freight company might damage your purchase? Three Bells Outfitters offers a white glove delivery of kayaks within a 225-mile radius of their store at a rate less than typical freight carriers. They will deliver your kayak, set it up, and answer any questions you may have. Be sure to follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Don't forget to tell them Jigs and Bigs sent you. Three Bells Outfitters, because life is better on the water. Hey, what's up, guys? Bobby Roast Beef here with another interview segment for Jigs and Bigs. And this week in the beef seat, we're pulling a switcheroo on the old Bass and Brews podcast. We're bringing I think their first guest on. Their first guest. We got Ramon Outdoors with us. Ramon, how are things, man? How are things going for you, buddy?
Good, man. Good. Just
nice.
Like everybody else in the wintertime trying to fish. At least the people in the South, we have some open water, so
yeah, exactly.
At least I can get out. But it's just, finding them is a little bit more difficult. But other than that, things are good.
I got to tell you, I have. So I the last fish I caught was on New Year's Eve. We had on the 31st. It was pretty warm. We had a nice 3-day stretch where I think the temps were up in the 40s, and we had only had skim ice. It wasn't anything crazy. So I went out and I was just like, this one day I had a few hours to burn while, I had errands to run and stuff in between. So I'm just like, I'm just go out to one of my honey holes and see what we can put on. And I caught a little yellow perch on the last day of the year, and it was awesome. It was great. And then last Friday, I decided, I was like, ice is coming. We've had some really, really cold lows overnight. I'm like, yeah, I've been trying to work the rivers. And I went out to this one spot, and I got my first couple of thumps for 2022. And it was just like, man, I'm going to miss this. I'm going to miss this. And now everything is all iced up. It's crazy. Everybody's getting on the ice. I'm planning an ice trip. So let's jump right into this, man. Let's talk about, first off, how did you discover fishing? Like, who introduced you to the pastime, the sport of fishing? And what is it about it? Like, walk me through the road of how you discovered it to, like, now where you're creating content and you're sort of becoming a voice of influence, walk me through the whole sort of path.
Yeah. So I essentially got into fishing because there's this period in the year where there's no hunting, and which is generally like the summertime. There are things you can do, but turkey season had ended for me, and it had been the second year I was hunting, and this was right around when the pandemic. This is right around when the pandemic started, and I was like, I don't want to stop. Being outdoors. So my wife was like, "Why don't you start fishing?" And I was like, ooh, that's a dangerous path to go down.
You make that suggestion.
Yeah, because when I started hunting, I like full gas, pedal to the metal, just went deep into it.
Yep.
Everything from like whitetail hunting to small game hunting to turkey hunting. I was just like, I'm doing all of these things. I'm going to try to do them all because they're kind of consecutive or throughout. So the turkey season ended, and I was like, I want to keep being outside. Yeah. So after, my wife was like, start fishing. I was like, okay. Because I had my buddy had already been like, just wait till you start fishing. I'm like, no, I'm trying to hold that off because that's just going to be more money spent if I do that. I just don't think I could pull that off with the wife.
Yeah.
After just spending a ton of money on like hunting gear and stuff like that. And as soon as she gave the green light, I was like, all right, cool. I ran to Wally World. I picked up some rods, some baits, and proceeded to skunk the rest of the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how, honestly, that's kind of how it happens, especially. So did you jump into it did you fool around with live bait at all, or was it all primarily artificial?
So it was all primarily artificial to start. And I think that was the biggest mistake. So what I did was like, what I feel like most anglers do, new anglers do, is they hit YouTube. And they start searching,
of course, these days,
to catch fish, how to catch a largemouth bass, whatever they want to catch, right? If they don't have someone to take them, which I didn't, they start out with finding stuff online. And I found all these videos, they were great videos, but I felt like they were missing key pieces. And they were great videos on, the lures that you should use as a new angler, the techniques you should try, things like that.
Yep.
And I tried all those things, but there were some things that I felt were missing that kept getting me skunked. So I was a part of this forum, and I got started in New Jersey. So I just moved down to North Carolina. So I even got very specific with my searches, like New Jersey trout fishing, that kind of specificity in how I was looking up information.
Yep.
And here I go with some inline spinners and some trout magnets into a river that was stocked back in the springtime in June or July trying to catch trout. I'm like, and it's like 95 degrees at this point.
Oh my God.
Exactly. Not knowing that doesn't work, that you're not going to catch any trout. If they're there, they're dead, or they're all caught out, or they're just gone down the river into colder spots. And so that was a lot of things that I struggled with. So I went on to this New Jersey hunting and fishing forum that I had been getting a lot of hunting information from. And I was like, look, I've been trying to catch a fish all summer. What can I do to get a fish? And they were asking me a ton of information, like what are you fishing with, how are you trying to catch them, where are you going.
Oh yeah.
And so I gave them everything, and they were like, all right, you need to pump the brakes, take a step back, go get yourself some bobbers, a hook, some split shot, and some worm.
Yeah.
You need to get the basics so you can understand where fish are and learn how it feels like to actually get a bite. Some of the bites are subtle, some of the bites are hard.
Yeah.
But a bobber will tell you, let you know, and stuff like that. And that helped me out a ton. Understanding the basics and going back to what, most, I would say, hardcore anglers consider kid fishing really helped me understand how to catch fish and how to find fish. Because I knew, okay, if I throw out this live bait, whether it's a worm, what have you, and it's not getting hit in like the first 10 seconds, there's nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
So go somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're on when you're on the bank, it's like, I think we're all guilty of it when you're out, and you're trying to put the hammer down on the bank, and you're like, nope, this spot, I'm comfortable with it. Like if they're just not there, they're just not there.
Yeah.
I think that's something that bank anglers struggle with all the time. So when you get out, are you primarily fishing from the bank, or are you getting out on the water at all?
So I just got a kayak a couple months ago. I've been out on it 3 times.
Yeah.
It's a paddle kayak. So there's some difficulties there that I'm trying to figure out. But for the most part, I'm mainly on the bank. And it's just due to how much time I actually get on the water.
That's a great point.
And that's the big piece is like most times when I get out, I have like about an hour, hour and a half. Sometimes I can squeeze it to 2. But most of the time, it's an hour. And if I only have an hour to load up the kayak, take it down, get it in the water, get all my gear in it, that's 30 minutes eaten right there.
Yeah, you're not going to spend that time. Exactly. You want to maximize it. I run into the same thing, like where I love getting in my kayak. And I mean, even when I would take a trip with Sean before I had my own kayak and I would use one of his, it was great. But it was one of those things where I felt like in order for me to feel like I was getting the most out of it, I needed to be able to like carve up a good section of the day and commit to fishing within that, because I knew there was just a lot more entailed with getting down to the water, getting everything checked out, rigging yourself up, and then heading out. Like it's not just drop it in the water and go. So, sometimes those trips exist and when you have the right situation, but for the most part, like when you do it and you do it right, you got to rig yourself up, make sure that things are all in place. And, bank fishing allows me to just get out there that much more often. Like you said, those 90-minute trips they're awesome. I've had, where like I haven't, maybe caught anything in a few days, and I'll take, an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe before I go into work, and, take advantage of it. This year, what I'm trying to do is I'm going to start taking my kayak with me to my gigs.
Okay.
And I'm going to do my show, and then I'll go night fish for a few hours afterwards. Nice. That's what I'm hoping to kind of put a little bit more effort into. I think that could be really, really fun. So I do love how your Instagram profile says adult onset outdoorsman. I think that's awesome, dude. Let's talk about the specifics of when you're out fishing, like the stuff that sort of makes it your favorite type of situation. So as far as seasons go, everybody always says like the spring, but like for you, what's your favorite time of year to be out fishing?
Wintertime.
And
I know that's going to shock a ton of people.
Yeah. Is it the pressure?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's nobody out. The bank is completely yours. The last 4 fishing trips that I've been out on the bank have been to places where in the summer and spring and fall, there's at least 1 or 2 other people out there with me.
Yep.
And in the wintertime, not a person.
Not kidding.
A single soul is out there except for me and the fish.
That is very nice, because then you know that those fish, at least if nothing else, from fishing pressure, have had a chance to kind of like breathe a little bit. Yeah. And they're not necessarily seeing all that kind of stuff. As far as like specific weather conditions and stuff, where's your barometer to where like your line is where you're like, yep, I'm not going out in that?
It depends. It changes on what I'm trying to fish. So, like I said, I'm in a paddle kayak. So if the winds are too high, I'm not going to take the kayak out. Doesn't matter how much time I have. I'll go and beat the bank a little bit for a few hours.
Yep.
Besides that, as long as it's not torrential or lightning, I'll probably be out there. I mean, I'm a big believer in there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing choices.
Yeah, I agree.
So like, whenever I see somebody like saying it, it's why is it got to rain on the day I'm going to go fish? I'm like, the fish are already wet. They're not going to care.
Yeah,
go
exactly.
Out there, throw a line, put on some rain gear, and go fishing. Because I mean, and I think it's an attitude I picked up from hunting. It's doesn't there are conditions where the hunting's going to be better, but it's those times where everybody else is at home. You might have a better shot of getting an animal. So that attitude kind of keeps me out on the water. I've gone out in like a rainstorm. I think I have a video up where it's just like I'm getting drenched. The water is chocolate milk, and the only thing I hook into is a stick. And I mean, I'm still out there getting completely drenched. And I forgot my rain pants that day, so my pants were just soaked.
Damn.
So
dude.
it was one of those things where it's like, I'm gonna get out there. I have the time.
Yeah.
I want to get out there, and I'm gonna fish.
It's amazing the impact that the what you're wearing and how you're gearing up for the elements can completely change your attitude as far as what you're able to deal with. I've gone out before this spring. This year specifically, or not this year, but 2021 was the year where I sort of pushed the boundaries. I normally will fish into about December, and then I'm like, it's just getting too cold, and I stop. I mean, here I am in January now, and I'll be out as much as I can, not even considering the cold, just gearing up for it. But like in rain specifically, like in the spring, sometimes it rains and it just gets so cold and miserable. But that's such an amazing time of year. You want to, gear up appropriately so that you can make it the best possible send, because that could be a great opportunity to get a new PB.
Exactly.
The fishing is just starting to fire up. So it's crazy. Like I've gone this year and I've got, muck boots that normally I would wear the same kind of clothes every single day, every time I go out and fish. And, now I kind of tailor things a little bit differently, and it really does have a huge impact. As far as like bodies of water that you like to fish, now, and this may have changed actually since you've relocated from further up the eastern coast to now down further south. What are your favorite types of bodies of water? Are you more about pond hopping and to breaking down smaller bodies of water? Do you like a large lake to sink your teeth into over time, or is it like, or are you raised on current where it's all about moving water is your best friend? What is it that you gravitate to?
So ponds are what I'm most successful at.
Yep.
Just because I feel like I can reach more bodies of water, more sections of that body of water. Bigger bodies of water like lakes and reservoirs. I'm trying to learn how to. So I've been hitting the last 3 trips that I've been in the kayak. I've lucked into fish is what I've been calling it.
Yeah.
Because I don't so I have a fish finder, but I'm very, very new with it.
Sure.
And I'm marking fish. It's just actually getting them to bite is what I'm struggling with. And I'm throwing what I would consider my number one confidence baits.
Yep.
That this is the bait that if nothing else is biting, I throw this I'm going to get a fish
bit.
if a fish is there. Yeah.
No.
And so what I'm struggling with is actually learning to fish out of a kayak and be more successful out of the kayak. But I haven't exactly like said I don't like fishing big bodies of water. It's just I'm learning how to fish big bodies of water. And that in itself has been fun and a challenge. And it could just be that one body of water that I've been hitting that's kind of tough to get on fish. I mean, those do exist, but for me, it's whenever I hear this, like, oh, there's no fish in there, I'm like, no, there's just no fish that you've caught there. Not saying that I'm going to catch a fish there, but you get the right person in that body of water and they're going to, start filling up a bag of fish.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where I'm always like, well, maybe, I'll give it a go and see what I can find.
Yep.
Normally I can get into some bluegill at least, but big old lakes and reservoirs are still a challenge for me, but I am enjoying my time out there.
Oh, yeah.
Rivers.
Yeah.
River wading has been something that I just started last summer. and it was so much fun. I've never gotten into so much fish in like an hour. After really diving in and doing some research before I went out.
Yeah.
I did a video a few months ago where I'm in a river and I kind of go through my thought process. I'm going to hit, breaks and current. I'm going to hit cover areas that have branches and things over it. And I go in with an ultralight, very like small baits. And I ended up getting into, like, in the span of an hour, I think somewhere around like 8 fish maybe. And then it ended with me breaking my rod. But me never going into this body of water before. And that was all within this like little kayak launch that no one ever uses. So there's like a little kayak launch in this river. So I get in there and start getting into some fish. And mind you, probably not the best way to fish that river, which was without a float. So I was just casting a very small jig, a mule jig, and just fishing it like I would on the bank of a pond. And it was getting hit. So it was exciting. And it's one of those things I keep telling myself, I need to go back there in the wintertime to see what it's like, with some waders and some, if the conditions are right.
For sure.
Safe, some waders and, some good insulated clothing, and see how different it is versus in the summertime.
Yeah, that's one thing that I want to definitely make it a point to get out and do is some of that, the wading trips. There's only one smaller river that I've ever waded around in, and usually it's because my daughter likes to swim at this place as well. So that means I'm not really catching anything. But this year might be a little bit different. She's getting a little bit older, and I think she just kind of wants to do her own thing. So it might work out where I'm able to get out and do that. But that is definitely an awesome, sort of adventure. And I think this seasonal change too, like you said, like going and trying it in the summer and like finding some spots, finding some spots that generally hold fish, some of the pools that are more productive. How does that play out in the winter? As far as access and everything else, that's freaking awesome. This actually next question goes right into something that you mentioned before, confidence baits. What are your top 3 or your top handful of confidence baits that you generally are like, these are the ones that I will always have, packed up regardless, like that you know that you can go to if you need to?
So ultralight soft plastics are big confidence baits for me. Specifically mule fishing baits. Those things will catch. It's a relatively small company in terms of your Bobby Garlands of the world. But it's a really, like, that Donkey Tail Junior just has caught me maybe like 85 to 95% of my fish.
Really? And no kidding.
Most of them are your usual like dinky fish, but I get some like 12-inch, 13-inch largemouth bass on that thing on 2
on these
tests.
Tiny finesse presentations. That's the thing. Finesse fishing is, it's so funny. Like I feel like most anglers, and there's exceptions, because I don't know that Sean the Fisherman necessarily is one of these guys. But I feel like there's the majority of anglers gravitate to a presentation. Might be, for some, it's topwater. Like, they've just got to throw topwater. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I found that for me, a lot of it really is like, I just enjoy finesse fishing.
Yeah.
Like, I love throwing a Ned rig. I love throwing, real downsized baits, smaller swim baits, drop shots. I love drop shots. I absolutely love them. Nico rigs, weightless plastics, stuff like that. It's just something I really enjoy. But it's so funny. Like, some people they just have to have moving presentation all the time. So it's all about crankbaits and spinners and stuff. But it's crazy. Mule jigs, huh?
Yeah, trust me, I love those things. And I mean, outside of that, your more traditional bass tackle, I love a wacky rig, specifically a weighted wacky, because I can fish it a little faster.
Oh yeah, and deeper too.
Yeah, and deeper. And then like a square bill crankbait. And I feel like they're coming back in popularity, but a spinnerbait. I feel like everybody was moving to chatterbaits. When I started fishing, I was like, I don't know the difference between a chatterbait or a spinnerbait.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick up both,
of course,
without knowing that they're technically, fished relatively the same, maybe in different areas. But I've gotten more hits on a spinnerbait than I have on a chatterbait, but that's just due to the fact that I throw spinnerbaits more than I throw chatterbaits.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And even if I'm not hooking fish, it's letting me know there's a fish there, because I'll feel that thump, and then I'll probably follow it up with either a smaller, like a finesse bait, or I'll throw a crankbait in that same spot and see if they'll hit that instead.
I've always had a soft spot for square bills. My first artificial bait that produced was a big fat, I think it was an Ish Monroe square bill. And I was like, this works. Like, holy cow, it actually works, you know? As far as, so going into tackle, or continuing with tackle rather, there's the saying that fishing tackle catches way more fishermen than it actually catches fish. In your opinion so far, what do you think is the most like ridiculous fishing tackle trend that's sort of come around? The follow-up question to that is, did you use it and how did it work?
Oh, it's kind of... That's a tough question for me, because I don't feel like I've been around
I
long
agree.
enough in like the fishing industry to know, like, oh, that's truly ridiculous, because I've seen some retro fishing lure videos where I'm like, that looks insane.
Yeah.
And I've seen new things come out that I have the same opinion of, like, that looks insane. It's tough for me to nail down one thing. I think I heard, and I agree with this. I was watching a live stream the other day, and they were saying how Lunker Hunt is a swing for the fences bait maker.
Yeah,
like they're home run swings all the time, which means they get a few strikeouts. And not to say Lunker Hunt's not a good bait company, because I actually have a ton of Lunker Hunt lures. I love their impact. Crankbaits. Those things are good. But I feel like those are always some strange baits. But I have a feeling there's someone somewhere out there catching on like these duck baits and these spiders that they throw. The
beaver baits.
Yeah, the beaver baits, those kind of things.
I got a friend of mine who lives and dies by topwater. Like, it could be skim ice on a part of the lake, and he's throwing a whopper plopper. You know, or he'll be frogging. Like, he is just, it's just the way he wants to fish. And I was just talking with him earlier this weekend, and he says, he's like, went out and I stocked up on a couple of things that I wanted to try out. And he was like, I think it was a Berkeley beaver. I think it was Berkeley makes one. And he's like, thing looks awesome. And I'm like, sweet, go for it, man. But it's like, it's crazy. But like, that's the thing. I love how Todd Grubb words it. He's like, bass are savages. Like, I don't agree that there's ever going to be in the Northeast a scorpion pattern that's going to work. You know what I mean? In this area, like, that's not necessarily what it is. But if you show them something different, they can react to it, So,
and I think that's the key there is it's a reaction.
Yep.
To what's being presented. What really changed the way I look at my baits now is the Online Outdoorsman said that when fishing a Ned rig, it's not like they're looking for specifically a craw or a piece of worm. They just see a 3-inch thing zipping past their face and stopping, and they go and investigate it.
Yeah. It's like curiosity killed the cat. That's what it is. They're drawn to it, and then now I'm hooked.
Exactly.
Now I'm a huge believer. Like, and Sean the Fisherman and I were having a conversation about this earlier. One of the things that I think makes fishing so unique and so special are the connections that you can make with other anglers on the water. So, like, you can have the worst day fishing, but if you're in the right group of people, there's so many laughs and it's such a good time that it's a memory you're never, ever going to forget. If you could fish with 3 people, what are your top 3 people that you would love to fish with? They can be alive or dead. They could be fishing. They could be celebrities. They could be anglers. You could be teaching them how to fish.
All right. So, first one, which I feel can make happen, is Paul Roberts, Paul Heels.
Oh,
that man! I feel like even if we're not catching fish, I'm going to be having a good time.
It's going to be a good time,
laughing, the entire time. Which is funny because he's not that far from me, and I feel like we can easily. We've been trying to make it happen. Things just have not lined up, but I feel like that's one that can happen very easily.
Sweet.
Bobby Garland is another one.
Yep.
Just because I feel like he's got so much information in there that he can easily. I just sit, even if I'm not fishing, just sitting in the boat with him, I'm gonna
yeah,
get off that boat and come off with a lot of information.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And then that's that last one. Another one. Let's see. Edwin Evers, man.
Yeah.
Edwin Evers seems he's got this like very much like a dad mentor vibe to him.
Yep.
And is super smart. And what won me over, and I was always an Edwin Evers fan, but what won me over was a clip where Larry Melton Jr. got a treble hook stuck in his hand, and he pulled it out, and Larry goes, should we go to the hospital? And he goes, hospital? It's too far and the fish are biting. We're not leaving.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that right there, like, I'm like, okay, yeah, I love this guy already.
Oh man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's freaking awesome. Now, as far as when you're fishing, when you're out there, do you listen to music while you're fishing or no?
No, I really want to focus on what I'm doing. I tend to get distracted easily. So if I'm listening to a podcast or I'm listening to music, I will forget about my bait in the water.
Yeah.
And which I used to listen to music when I first started fishing. I'm like, I'm going to put in some music and just kind of be in my own world. And I noticed I was missing fish. So I'm like, I'm going to stop doing that and just actually pay attention to what I'm doing. Now I'll start to whistle to myself or start to hum and stuff like that. But I'm still not as distracted as when I have some headphones in my ear.
Oh, I could definitely see it. It's funny because it's different for everybody. Some people, they're like, yeah, I put on some music. I find that more often when I'm on the bank, I don't really listen to much while I'm on the bank. I don't really necessarily know why. I guess I don't want to I stopped wearing headphones is the big one. Mm-hmm. And so what I'll do, like when I'm in the kayak, I'll have a small Bluetooth speaker and I'll listen to music while I'm there. Of course, I'm out there for hours and hours and hours, but it's one of those things where, some people are just like, yep, I want to just me and nature. Other people are just like, yeah, I want to, create a vibe while I'm out there. And then I can sort of focus on what I'm doing. It's like the same thing as like, do you listen to music when you study or not? Some folks do and some folks don't. But what do you listen to get hyped up on the way to go fishing?
Ooh. Mm-hmm. All right. As of late, it's kind of been a lot of old school country.
Okay. Yeah. Like how old school? I think I have a few years on you. I'm just curious what you consider old school.
Like the older George Strait.
Oh, all right.
When his hair was still real brown.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It wasn't coming from a bottle.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Exactly. I mean, I'm from Texas, so George is king down there. So usually either some George Strait. That's basically been my recent playlist. But other than that, it really just depends on what I was actually listening to before. I'm not much of a I'm going to switch my playlist kind of guy. I'm like, what was I playing before this that is just the Bluetooth is going to hook up and just start running
and let it go.
Because for me, I don't have to get amped or in any kind of zone to go fishing.
Yep.
Just because the idea, like I've done that already by getting my tackle in. I've got like that alone just puts me in the mindset of like, I'm going fishing. I'm excited. I can't wait to get out there.
Yep.
As soon as those rods start getting in the car, I'm like, I'm ready to go.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, what would you say that your goal is for fishing in the next 5 to 10 years? Like, where would you like to see this take you? If anywhere.
I just want to be more efficient. Ultimately, my goal is to be able to catch fish and be versatile in any kind of species species fishing and technique. And that comes from the mindset of starting out hunting first, because, you want to be efficient and be successful in almost any kind of condition. That takes time to learn. So for me, it's the same thing. I sport fish now because for me, I'm treating this as practice.
Sure.
But in the next few years, I would like to, a majority of my fish be for the freezer, specifically like crappie and bluegill and things like that.
Yep.
Eventually, I'm going to move out to, saltwater fishing.
Yep.
And start, targeting those bigger species of fish. But my entire goal with everything that I do in the outdoors is to, put meat in the freezer.
Sure.
So that's kind of the same thing is being able to catch several types of species of fish, even if it's not your target species for the freezer, helps you understand a body of water better and know what's in there. So just being more successful and learning the basics and being able to, like, if whether I'm using my own gear or using a buddy's gear, if I can see what they have in their tackle box and at least have 2 or 3 lures that I know I can catch fish on, then that's kind of where I want to be in the next like 3 to 4 years.
Yep. It's fun. It's interesting too, because that's a really good point. Like when you target multi-species, you really do start to learn about an ecosystem and the way that it works. You know, when you're so hyper focused on one specific behavior of one specific fish, you can kind of overlook some of the things that can unlock some of the keys of different patterns that are going on. Like specifically up here, we have, different runs of bait fish, not so much in Western Mass, but in the eastern part of the state. And that can affect your choice in baits. It can affect the way that the place fishes, period. I mean, there's a lot to kind of bring out there. Have you traveled anywhere specifically to fish? And when I say like traveled, like have you, cross state lines, I guess. I guess no. That's kind of no.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, yes, but I don't necessarily consider this a travel to fish. I traveled to go back to New Jersey to fish, but it wasn't like I felt it was like still kind of like a home base, so it wasn't like I went somewhere new to fish.
I hear you. No, that makes sense. Is there a bucket list, like a short list of spots that you're like, these I want to fish at some point in my life?
So, like I said before, I'm from Texas. I grew up in Texas.
Yep.
And I didn't get into fishing until I was in New Jersey. So I would
talk
love
about
to go
swing
back.
and a miss, man.
Yeah,
wow.
I would love to go back, fish some home waters. I mean, we were messaging the other day the John B series that just came out.
Oh yeah,
about fishing all the Texas major
all the
cities.
Urban stuff. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And
I love that stuff.
That is all the stuff that I've missed while I was there. And I mean, I lived in Houston. I lived in Dallas. I spent time in San Antonio, in Austin. So I've been to all the major cities. And all those opportunities where I could have been fishing, just, it bothers me a little bit, but I definitely want to go back. And I also want to catch a Guadalupe bass.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's the only place you can catch it.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where Texas is definitely on the list. I take a trip back to Texas like once a year, but finding time to fish is always difficult when I'm there because I'm visiting family.
That's the whole thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But one of these days I'm going to spend some time and kind of hop around and fish all the different spots. And then in terms of other spots, I'd love to go to the West Coast to fish, the Pacific Ocean, get out there and do some big Pacific Ocean fishing. Cause there's an account I follow. He's he's specifically saltwater, lives out of California, and he's a power lifter. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't do anything in terms of like YouTube content. It's all on Instagram.
Gotcha.
But his clips of him being out in the ocean are just insane.
Yeah.
He's reeling up these massive fish. And I'm like, that looks completely awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the big trophy fish, like, I mean, that's like a whole other sort of level. I was out one time at this cigar lounge with a buddy of mine, and this is right after, I think Jigs and Bigs was maybe like 6 months old at this point. And I was talking with a friend of mine, and there was a guy who comes in who's a regular, and he sits down, and we're all just, drinking coffee and smoking cigars, and my buddy goes, "Oh yeah, Bobby over here is a fisherman. He's got a podcast and everything." And we're talking, and this guy does like trophy marlin fishing. Like,
wow,
yeah. And I was just like, we are not the same.
Yeah,
like you're talking about a sport that requires like ridiculous amounts of money and dedication, and like this is insane. Like it is crazy. He was telling me some of the stories about some of the tournaments, and I was like, my mind was just blown at like the kind of the level of like I think that the KBF stuff is intense and really cutthroat, but I'm like nothing like this. It's a whole other beast. But let's get back into it. As far as like Arsenal goes, like you mentioned that you one of your confidence baits are finesse baits, finesse type presentations. What does your general rod and reel arsenal look like when you're going out? Like, what do you kind of bring out with you to be ready to go?
Yeah, if I'm just going out for like a general day of fishing, it's usually a mix of rod and reels. Is usually 2 bait casters setups, either a medium heavy, maybe a medium, usually around 6 to 7 feet. And then I'll have 1 medium spinning rod combo.
Yep.
And then I always have an ultralight combo on me, either 6 feet to 7 feet. And I'm mainly focusing on, I go to the 2 extremes. I'm mainly either focusing on the ultralight or I'm focusing on the medium heavy bait caster. And those are the 2 that are being thrown constantly. I'll switch it up every now and again to the medium spinning combo, but that's usually my main arsenal. I have a crate that I can go that goes in my kayak that holds 4 rods.
Yep.
So those are the ones that usually are in those. Now, if I'm beating up the bank, it's usually 1 or 2 rods. And when I do, because I have such a limited amount of time, I'm going with the plan. I'm focusing on one particular technique. It's either going to be the bait caster, the medium spinning rod, or the ultralight spinning rod. And that's what I'm going to focus on throwing. 9 times out of 10, it's the ultralight, because if I only have an hour, I want to get into some fish, and that is going to not ensure that I get on some fish, but give me the best opportunity to get
lighter presentation. Yeah,
exactly.
No, it makes sense.
And the funny thing is when I mention ultralight fishing to people, for some reason they get this idea that it's slow fishing. I fish this thing fast. I'll work a side of a bank for 10 minutes, and then I'll keep moving.
Have you looked in any of the BFS stuff? I know it's a really big trend.
Yes, I have, and the price tag is what keeps me from going all in for it right now.
Yeah.
I like to focus on like budget stuff right now, because I feel like the average beginner angler is very limited in their funds in terms of what they can actually buy. They're not going to go out and buy like a $200, $300 BFS Corrado. From the start. So, Casking does have a BFS reel. I think it's like $75 for the reel. But even then, like that, I feel like I'm pretty accurate with my spinning light, my ultralight spinning combo right now. I don't feel like I could be any more accurate with a BFS rod. And that's because I'm not really as accurate as I'd like to be with my standard
your other bait casters.
Yeah, like I'm still trying to figure out that whole thing. I've only been throwing bait casters for like about 4 or 5 months now, and even then, like I'm backlashing at least once a trip.
It happens
on a good day. And even then, it's not always going where I want it to go. But with my ultralight, I feel like I can hit exactly where I want it to go. Because I think I just have that more experience with it. So I haven't 100%. Decided. I haven't made that jump yet, but I have been looking. I know there are some budget friendly options for BFS fishing. I just don't know if I want to jump into that pool of the water yet.
That's the thing. I've been toying with it a little bit, but like I set up my arsenal where I kind of have a spectrum. So from, my lightest rods to my heaviest rods, like I've got a medium light 7.3 spinning combo that I almost exclusively drop shot with now. I do use it for blade baits though. And there's a couple of other baits that I like. I really enjoy that combo. It's great. I've got a small 200 reel on it. Like it's a good combo. Then I've got a 7-foot medium that I pretty much always use like either like weightless soft plastics or like, Ned rigs. For the most part, Nico rigs will go on that. Basically the majority of my finesse stuff, that's like my workhorse spinning combo. Then I've got a medium heavy spinning combo that I basically only really use for topwater. And it's like whopper ploppers and spook, like a Zara spook I'll throw on there, like walking baits and stuff like that. I'll even do like, I mean, a lot of different things that I'll use there, but like a slower presentation because the reel there, I think it's like a 5-to-1 gear ratio, something like that. And then as far as bait casters go, I've got 4 different ones, but they range from medium to heavy with 2 medium heavies at different lengths for different stuff. And, I mean, I keep those reels like really quick. So I definitely understand like when you're finesse fishing, like the idea of having a faster gear ratio. I just don't see myself adding another finesse combo right now. You know what I mean? I was having a conversation with Lockwood Fishing about it like months ago. And I'm like, that sounds so unbelievable. But I'm like, I don't really have a need for it yet. I am so interested in BFS though. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's definitely on my radar, and it's something that I'm paying attention to. That might be something that I save for next year. Yeah. But as of now, I'm really trying to fine tune like my ultralight setup because I just got into ultralight fishing late last year or middle of last year. And I started with like the budget, like a $15 1,000 size spinning reel.
Oh yeah.
And not that I've upgraded a ton, but going up like $15 in price point really felt like a huge upgrade. I mean, maybe it's just the reel that I upgraded to a Shimano Sienna.
It's a great reel.
It was, and it was the difference between like, I would say like a an old beat up Honda Accord to like the new 2029 version of it. You felt like you just jumped into the future in terms of the reel that you're using. And I was like, wow, I can't imagine what it would look like if I kept upgrading, but for now I'm happy where I'm at. I feel like I have a solid setup, and now I feel like I have a good baseline. I want to see what else is out there and what else compares to what I have now. And eventually I'll get into the BFS stuff. I feel like that's kind of where I'm going. I just can't, I see people using them, and I feel like there's a lot more technique and practice involved, and I just don't know if I have the time to dedicate to that right now.
I hear you. Plus, it's like, then you're in this situation where you're like, that's one additional combo I have to throw in. And like you said, when you're going out and you're fishing, like more technique oriented, where you're like, I've only got, an hour and a half. I'm going to be throwing this. It also like it's, there's something to be said about fishing that way, because it does sort of, while you might not necessarily be catching what they want that day, you are learning about that presentation. So there is value to take away, but the mindset, like, that might not be the way to go do it if you're like competing in a tournament or anything. Have you ever done any tournaments? Have you ever done any competitive stuff?
I did one of the virtual chronic trips when I first started, and it's more like I donated money because I signed up.
Man.
I signed up and I never went out that month to go fish.
Oh,
so I didn't even get a chance.
Get out there? Oh,
yeah,
man.
I didn't even get a chance because things just got busy. I'm like, when am I going to find time? And I didn't even get a chance to go out. No, that's not true. I went out once and I skunked. I was out for like 4 hours, didn't catch a thing.
Yep.
And this was like, I think maybe like 4 or 5 months into me fishing.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was getting some confidence, and then I was like, I didn't catch a thing. And then I wasn't able to go for the rest of that month.
I remember that first chronic trips. I think I was out on April 1st. And I think I put a largemouth on. As a matter of fact, I woke up that morning, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Albert, Canyon Lake, Texas angler. He put like an 11-inch largemouth on the board, and I was like, I'm done. Like, we got a Texas bass there. I'm like, I'm done. That's it. I say that jokingly, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I had gone out and I put largemouth on the board. I like doing it. For me, the competitive side of fishing is more of like, I don't want to say like a vacation, but it's not. That's not my goal. It's more of like a side quest. It's like, and the monthly stuff is one thing. This year, I'm really interested to just do the physical in-person tournaments and see how that goes, because I love the idea of putting it in this compartment of, hey, these are 6 or 8 hours that we've got. Go out and fish, do the best you can, and see what happens. I really am interested to see what my experience is like doing that, but who knows, man? Who freaking knows?
And that's kind of what has been piquing my interest in competitive fishing as well. Yeah. Is that, where am I now? stacked up against other anglers, just because
Yeah.
I've always been slightly competitive. So
Sure.
it's one of those things where it's like, can I out? How many people can I outfish on one day? We're all in the same
Yep.
body of water. We're all fishing the same conditions. How better am I than someone else, or worse than I am someone else? And that's the one thing that has it in the back of my mind. Like eventually I'd like to get to a point, but I want to get a little bit more confident with some basic baits before I start trying to go up against some guy who's been fishing the same body of water for 20 years and knows every bass by name.
Exactly. It's so funny. Like when one thing that I recommend, like I've never ever placed in the winnings for any of the tournaments that I've done. But one of the things that I think makes it even more interesting is making little side bets here and there, because in September we did our Jigs and Bigs nationwide multi-species tournament. It was a blast. It was a whole lot of fun. But myself and Derek Artioli of Three Bells Outfitters made a friendly little bet where if I placed ahead, he would make X amount of baits and we would do a giveaway, and it was just really, really cool stuff. And then if he placed ahead, I had to wear, to one of the trivia nights that I host, I had to wear a t-shirt that says I love Limp Bizkit or something along those lines. And we can't have that. And while I didn't place, I did win the bet. So that was very, very cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it was very cool. Man, that's freaking crazy. Sean loves this question. So this is interesting because it sort of kind of gives the listener an idea of like where your head's at, plays into all of it, like as far as confident baits and rigging and stuff. So here's the deal. Sean and I are like traveling down 95. We're going to come and pick you up and take you to an unnamed body of water. We have no idea where we're going. We're going to take you out there and go fishing, but we've got the Jigs and Bigs corporate card, and we're going to make a stop at your favorite tackle shop, and you have to build one rod, one reel, and spool it with whatever the line is that you want. Sean says no leaders. I could care less. I'm a leader guy. But as far as tackle goes, you can use it, whatever it is that you bring in your bag. Like this, you can use any lures that you want. Go ahead and build it. What would you put together? And remember, it's on our dime, so you can splurge. Yeah.
So one combo
to rule them all.
Are we targeting any like particular thing, or we're just gonna go out and catch some fish?
We're just gonna go out and catch some fish.
All right.
Yeah. We're either gonna catch trophy largemouth, or Sean's gonna be making pizzas.
Okay. I would probably get a medium light TFO 7-foot.
Okay.
Spinning rod with spinning reel with a 1,000 size, probably Daiwa Rep. No, not the Revros. I can't remember the name. Oh my gosh!
Is it the Tatula?
Yes, Daiwa Tatula. That's
the way to go, man. You go Tatula or you got to go Vanford. Like one or the other, man.
Yeah, those two. That I feel like is a good. Like, I don't feel like I'm leaving money on the table, but I also don't feel like I'm blowing like a bunch of money. Now, keep in mind, all of my spinning combos, the reels, are like $30, $40 or less.
Sure.
Yeah, that's usually where I like to spend it. Line, because it's a medium light, I'd probably go 6 pound mono.
6 pound mono.
Yeah.
Versatility.
If I hook into a big one.
Yep.
I don't want that line to break if it's fluorocarbon, just because fluoro is just a little bit stiffer. And I feel like it's thin enough that I don't have to worry about it if the fish could see it.
Yep.
So
and you could fish topwater too.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So I feel like it's very versatile. In terms of mono, I don't really have a favorite line of mono. I mean, I fish Walmart Omniflex, man. The only reason why, except for when I do 2 pound tests, because they don't make 2 pound tests.
That's too much.
They don't make 2 pound tests. I have to go to, which I like, the Trilene Sensation 2 pound test.
Yep.
The good price point. Very, very. I haven't had it break on me, and I've hooked onto some fish that I was like, "There's no way I'm flipping this onto the bank." Yeah, that would probably be my ideal setup.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Because I feel like you can get away with a lot. You could throw some some decent sized crankbaits, moving baits on that medium light combo. You can really finesse down into, all the way down to, I would say, like a 1/32 ounce.
Easily.
Bait.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're feeling a little crazy and you don't need to cast that far, a 1/64 ounce, like small jig.
Yep.
But for the most part, I feel like you have a wide range, especially with, if you're looking at throwing top waters, they like the mini pop R, those things.
Oh yeah,
those things will catch. Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I love my medium light spinning combo. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love it. It's awesome. It was when I stepped up my game for combos, that's what I picked. And I was just like, no, I'm looking for absolute, like, extreme sensitivity. But it's like, it's awesome, man. I know Sean would be delighted with your choice of choosing mono because he's like, it's so versatile. No leader, you're good to go, man. That is the way to do it.
Yeah.
So we have come to the point in the show where we need two stories.
Okay.
The first story is of, a great win. Either, something that you're super proud of on the water, maybe something got crazy went down and you were able to kind of like make it all happen. Or, maybe it was a PB. Or if you just want to drop your PB in there just for a mention, you can absolutely go for that. The other story, though, is one that any fisherman that fishes at all, like even thought of fishing, has too many stories to share. And that's the story where it was all a... no shortage.
Okay. So the first one, I think I'd have to share where I felt confident enough to take someone else fishing and not use live bait.
There you go.
So when I started fishing, I really hit it hard and got really into it. And a buddy of mine at work noticed, oh, hey, you like to go fishing? He mentioned that he'd been fishing when he was younger, but he hadn't done it in a long time. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, let's go. We'll go fishing. We'll have a good time. And he was like, we got to a point where we were fishing live bait and he was not catching anything on that worm. And I was like, you need to tie this plastic on because they are hitting it more than they're hitting that worm.
Yeah.
And my thought process was, and the reason why I was really proud of this moment was because my thought process was, this place has probably been fished with live worms so much that these fish are not going to hit these worms anymore. Doesn't matter how good they smell, they're not going to do it.
Yep.
And the water was clear, crystal clear water. And you could see these bluegill just looking at the worm, just sitting there. And I'm like, they're not hitting it. They would come up, look at it, fish, swim away. And you could leave it in there, let it soak forever. It was not happening. Or they would peck at it.
That's the worst.
And you could see it all happening, and we were just getting frustrated. So I decided, I'm like, all right, I'm going to rig up this little ultralight soft plastic, and I throw it, and I start working it like I normally would, and it starts getting hit. And I'm like, all right, instantly I'm like, look, we're going to take this off of you. We're going to rig you up, and you're going to start throwing this. And I start walking him through how to fish it.
Yep.
And instantly he starts getting hit. And it's funny because after that, I've had so many jokes about how the movie Limitless. There's that one scene at the end of the movie where he's like showing Robert De Niro how advanced he is.
Yep.
He's like, I'm like 20 moves ahead of you and 20 moves ahead of everybody else. And I was like, this is what it feels like to realize, because I start walking him through it and he just starts hammering fish. We went from catching nothing for like 2 hours to a span of 30 minutes catching like 5 or 6.
That's great.
A decent sized bluegill.
Yeah.
And it was one of those moments where I was like, okay, I can actually teach somebody how to get on some fish.
Yeah.
More than just throwing a bobber out there. And it was great. That was one of those feelings where I'm like, all right, I kind of want to, start doing this for other people.
Yep.
And how do I connect with those people? Which kind of kicked off, all of my social media stuff.
Definitely.
And my YouTube channel and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
The other, like the story where nothing went right, was with the same person, actually. We went trout fishing. This was earlier this spring. And not only did almost every single leader that I tied break off.
Oh, that sucks.
But I think I ended up losing like 5 or 6 lures that day. And I attributed this to me being way too overconfident, but also to the combo the rod that I was using. It was a 2-piece jawbone. I will never buy another jawbone rod ever again.
Yep.
The biggest mistake I've ever made in my life. And that rod just kept flying off. It just kept, like, the second piece just kept coming off.
It wasn't holding secure? Really?
Yeah, it would not. And I was like shoving. I'm about to put some JB Weld on this thing to keep this thing in place because it is not working. And I ended up so we fished all morning and then he had to go. So I fished the afternoon by myself. And I ended up, after that, threw all my rods in the car, went to a different spot, grabbed my ugly stick, and I was like, I'm going to hit this last spot for a couple hours.
Yep.
And immediately was climbing over this portion of the dam. And it had rained all day. It was all wet and muddy and ended up sliding like 10 feet down a berm on my back. Like I slipped out and rode my ugly stick down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, the ugly stick was fine. Those things are built like tanks. And but yeah, that was kind of how the day ended for me. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna like sit here for a minute.
Oh yeah. I mean, everybody's got like something like that where they're just like, there was one day this summer where, and I was actually on the phone with Sean the Fisherman. I had my headphones, one of them in. I was having a conversation with him and I was actually shooting, and I unfortunately don't have this video footage at all because my camera wasn't rolling. I was testing out my GoPro and I'm on the phone with Sean and I was like, man, this is great. You know, I'm out here. And this was like that point in this summer where I really started to kind of like get some real confidence in a swim jig. And I'm like, this is awesome. So we were having a conversation about something and I hang up the phone and I put the phone back in my pocket and I was wearing like these Columbia PFG boat shoes on this dirt like mound right at the bank. And there's no traction on these things at all. It was a terrible idea to just run out, but I was running out just to try the camera out, shoot some stuff and see what we could put together. I think I fished for like 45 minutes, caught a couple, went back and then made, this video to like figure out how everything worked. And I'm standing there and I'm working this swim jig and my feet just slip from the slippery dirt. I'm like 300 pounds, man. My feet go up and I hit this. I'm laying on my back on my Samurai tactical backpack, actually. And I couldn't believe I didn't break my flambeau boxes when I hit the ground. I hit it so hard. I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to replace that box. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing broken. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I don't know what that says about Samurai Tactical or Flambeau, but unbelievable. It's just freaking crazy, man. Ramon, this was really good, man. Next time that you're in North Carolina, right?
Yep.
So I think what we should do is get the kayaks together, and then we'll take a trip and we'll go harass the hell out of Paul.
Oh yeah, let's go do it.
I think we need to make that happen. I know that Sean would be game for that, so we should definitely make that happen. Do me a favor, man. Go ahead and promote all of your channels. Let people know where they can find more about you, where you're most active, all that kind of stuff. You have something to go. This is your moment.
Sure. Yeah. You can find me on Instagram, on YouTube, on almost all the socials. Ramon Outdoors. I post more on some than others. But that's where you can find me. If you haven't yet, go renew your fishing licenses. People often forget. Go renew your fishing licenses. Go read the regs because they make changes every year. And just enjoy yourself out in the water.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, this was really, really great, dude. Do me a favor and shoot me a DM with like just a picture of you holding a giant, like anything that you're like, yes, this is a great pick, a fish that I'm proud of. Send it over to me. We'll use it for the cover artwork.
Can I send you my smallest fish instead?
If you want. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Why not?
You're gonna love this one.
That's the thing. Microfishing is like a real thing. Like, and it's fun. It is. It's fun. So. Good stuff, man. This is really, really good. This is going to be in next week's episode. I think it's going to be awesome.
Sweet.
Cool.
Awesome, man.
Awesome, dude. Well, you have a good one. I'll catch you on the gram.
Sounds good, man.
All
Have a
right,
good
dude.
one.
Take care. See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Yep. That's going to do it for us this week on Jigs and Bigs. Of course, we got Ramon Outdoors. Big thanks to Ramon. He started out in Jersey making some content, doing some fishing, and relocated down to North Carolina. And I think he and I are going to have to connect at some point. I say this, I need to actually make good on this and start fucking actually doing it. Taking these trips and get out there and start making it happen. But
you talk a lot of shit about travel.
I do. It's the one thing I do. I want to travel. I want to get out there. It's probably the thing in life that I like the most. And traveling to fish is like a double whammy, Yeah. The happiest I was last year was when we went to Champlain. Unbelievable.
You can have that every weekend if you want it. You know what I mean? That is, there's so many places to go.
It's true.
Tournaments to get into if that's your gig. Places to fish. It's out there, man.
Yeah, 100%.
Now you can camp in the truck.
That's exactly it. I'm freaking psyched about that. That's going to be unbelievable. Did I tell you? Speaking of truck camping stuff, I added a new accessory to my truck to kind of organize some stuff. I put up some Molly panels on the rear windows, and they are awesome. I did some shopping around, and actually I kind of cheated. I bought some mock-ups, some what do you call them? Some bootlegs, if you will. They're regularly they cost like $150 a piece, and I think I paid about that for my set. But I installed them, and it gives me so much more organization up on the sides. It was basically wasted space with that window. What's ultimately going to happen? I'm going to take them out and then put a window. What the hell do they call that for stealth camping? Like the blackout. I forget the material they use for it. Basically, like it's almost like a cardboard cutout, but it's this plastic that has foil on one side, so you can insulate with it. But it's going to black out those windows, and those will probably stay in there permanently. In those rear windows, because they're going to have molly racks in front of them with a whole bunch of tools and all kinds of stuff, a hatchet, machete, you name it, all kinds of stuff. Shit that I use every day.
Chainsaw.
Tarps, ropes. Exactly. Fun stuff, everybody. I don't know. I don't think we really have a whole lot to go out on today. I'm looking forward to the Boxborough show for sure. Somebody had asked me earlier this week if I knew of a place where you could get shiners near Worcester. And, God, I just escaped me. I don't know what I was thinking. I know it's a little out of the way, but you guys can always go to Old Glory Outdoors and get a wide variety of live bait for your ice fishing adventures. Go and do that, guys. Go check it out. And if you are looking for a new jigging rod, check out the 13 Fishing Wicked Ice Hornet. It's a nice little combo. A little bougie, but that's how your boy Bobby Roast Beef rolls. Party on, guys. We'll see you guys in 7 days. You have anything you need to add here, Sean?
Bye. I'm tired.
I'm tired too. It's been a long day. All righty, guys. You have yourselves a great week. I hope you enjoy it. Keep in mind that the live show is coming up very, very soon. Tickets are available at jigsandbigs.com. Remember, you can check back at jigsandbigs.com for your Jigs and Bigs merchandise if you're interested in gearing up with some good stuff. We've got some great stuff for you guys coming up. We're at this is show number 98. It's getting close. Guys, we will see you in 7 days for more fishing fun. Until then, have a good one. Take good care of one another. Don't be an asshole. And if you see an asshole, fuck that guy. Have a good one, everybody. We will see you next time. Tight line.